All right, we're still using the function y equals 200 minus 10x, but sometimes you'll be asked to find certain values of an equation in the calculator. The equation that we're using right now isn't too difficult, but the whole purpose of the calculator is we'll use some really nasty looking equations, and you wouldn't want to have to do that math by hand. I wouldn't even want to do that math by hand. So let's take a look at this. Let's look at our first problem together. Evaluate the function for x equals 15. So what this means is what's the y value when the x value is 15? So I'm going to show you how to do this. You want to be on your graphing screen, which if you've gotten out of there, you could just go and hit the word graph. And then we want to get to a screen that's going to allow us to find a value. So I want to go to second, trace, and that's going to bring up this blue menu that's the calculate menu. So do you see behind the word trace how the word calc is in blue? When I hit second, then trace, instead of tracing the graph, it goes to calculate. And to answer this question, to find or to evaluate the function for when x equals 0, I need to hit the word value. So it's the very first thing on the menu. I could use my up and down arrows to scroll, or I could just hit the number 1 since value is the first item. Or if I'm already at value, I can just hit enter. All right, now on my screen, I have my graph, but x equals is below it, and there's a cursor that's flashing. So that's where I'm going to type in the number 15. So I'm going to type 15 and hit enter. And if you notice, now there's a cursor at a part of the graph. And if you look on the screen, and I know it's really small, but it says y equals 50. So what that means is that when x is 15, y equals 50. The ordered pair 15, 50 is on this line. So that's how you evaluate a function to find a y value when you're given an x value. Now let's do the opposite, and I'm going to change the number. I didn't realize that was going to give me 50. So we just answered this top question. The second question is asking us to do the opposite thing. It's saying, what's the value of x when y equals 20? And I can't do this the same way. It's just not how the calculator works. So I want to know what x is when y equals 20. The way to do this is a little bit tougher. I'm going to go to my y equals menu. So I'm going to type in, or I'm going to go to y equals, and I should see that function. I'm going to go to a new spot. So I'm going to use the arrow to go down to y2. I want to know what the value of x is when y equals 20. So in this spot, I'm going to type in 20. So it says y equals 20. I'm not going to change my window unless I have to, but I'm going to go back and hit graph. And this red line that just graphed is the graph of y equals 20. It's a horizontal line because its rate of change is 0. So what I want to know now is where this red line intersects the blue line, what is the x value at that point of intersection? So I'm going to have to find the intersection. So to do that, I'm going to go back to that calculate menu. So I'm going to go to second, trace, and that's going to bring me to calculate. Instead of going to value though, I'm going to go to number 5, intersect. So I can use the arrow to scroll down and then hit enter. And if you look down here, the calculator is going to ask me a question. It says first curve question mark. So it wants to know on this first line or curve where the intersection is. So with my left and right arrows, I'm going to scroll that cursor to get as close as I can to that intersection. Then it says second curve, and it's usually already pretty close. So this cursor is now on the red line. So I want to use the arrows to make sure I get it pretty close to that intersection. And then it says guess. So it's asking, is this a good guess? I'm just going to hit enter. Then the calculator thinks about it quickly, and it tells me this information in red. that x equals 18 and y equals 20 at that intersection. So when y is 20, x equals 18. And I could think of that like the ordered pair 18, 20 that exists on that graph.